the name of education. There's cyber stalking and cyber bullying, where some people will be sending threatening messages to people on the computer. I'm saying this because this is your age. You people are the ones that own the internet. You own everything that technology has to offer. So it is a common cybercrime prohibits cyber squatting, that is registering or using an internet domain name with bad faith. For instance, you create a domain name for GTB Bank in order to be able to siphon money from the accounts of their customers. Distribution of racist materials on the public through computer, e.g. Facebook or Twitter. Prohibition of threats of violence or insulting statements to people based on their race, religion, color, descent, or national or ethnic origin. All these ones are cybercrimes, and they are punishable with very heavy fines of imprisonment. There are also crimes like fornication and adultery, mainly in the penal code. It's not in the criminal code. And the Matrimonial Causes Act also forbids married people from engaging in illicit affairs, even though sometimes it may not be punishable in some jurisdictions because of their beliefs and the relaxed way they view sexual offenses. I'll move again to terrorism. And terrorism reminds me of the case of Farouk Mutallab, a young man that was studying abroad that was alleged, I'm not sure if the crime was actually ever proved, but he was alleged to have tried to join the Islamic State in Syria to go and be fighting against American interests and all that, which is considered terrorism in today's parlance. So, but now he's locked away somewhere. I don't know if he will ever regain his freedom, but those are the things we should watch out for. Because even as Muslims trying to defend Islam, you have to know what groups you subscribe to or the kind of people you are interacting with. Somebody may even set you up, because you are expressing religious views on the internet. The person sees you as a fundamentalist, and before you know it, the person starts interacting with you. You have to always be very careful. As Sister Maimuna said, you have to always be your activities should be restricted to developing yourself, building yourself spiritually, financially. People make a lot of money from phone. We have to think of how can I make money? How can I develop my skills? There are many courses you can think of. You can still be 18. You can still be seeking admission to university, and then you have gotten so many other degrees from online institutions. You can be a student of Oxford while you are still here. You can be in Yale. You can be in Harvard. You can study from any part of the world. So there are a lot of things we can do. If you're a writer, you can write an ebook. I remember I was trying to publish a book. Like she said, I've written 4 or 5 books. Some of them are ebooks, some are in hard copy, some I just distribute them in PDFs. Now, to publish is very difficult unless you have a publishing firm company that will take it up for you. So I decided to self-publish. Let me try it. I did it on Amazon, and then again, just ordinarily, after doing all the formatting and all that, I decided to just sell my ebook for 1K. And then in 1-2 months, up to 400, 500 people bought it. So multiply that by 1,000 naira, and then I was able to publish the other one in hard copy. I write on relationships. I've written identifying red flags in relationship before you marry. For those that are in relationships, I've written for married people, coping mechanisms when you are in a difficult marriage, the realities of divorce, Once Upon a Muslimah. This one is a novel. And then I hear young people always saying that there are no Islamic novels, and I'm wondering, but there are so many. I see so many. In fact, you people are lucky now. When we were younger, the kind of Islamic books you will see are the abstract books that you cannot really understand, where you will see the fundamentals of Islamic jurisprudence, and you cannot understand what the author is writing. But these days, there are so many books, so many Islamic books. I like to go to, there's a school in Kaduna Estate, Great Heights Academy, because I know the principal. And when I enter their library, I'm so happy to see the kind of books they have there. It's just to go to library. I'm saying this because I'm a book addict. I'm a readaholic. That is my hobby. That is what I try to make money from. If you read a lot, you will see that there are a lot of materials that can inspire you. You read motivational books, you occupy your time, you journal, you write, and before you know it, you just see yourself being far because of the level of your intellect. So the punishment for terrorism under the Nigerian law, it is specified under the Terrorism Prevention Act of 2011. It was in conformity with the United Nations guidelines against terrorism. It can range from, because terrorism is such a serious crime, you are not just killing one person, it's a crime against the country. So the punishment can range from 20 years to death sentences, depending on the severity of the case. Under this act, people that are committing actions against the state, wiping out whole villages, destroying government buildings and all that, the punishment specified for those kind of active participants is very high. Section 2 of that Anti-Terrorism Act provides that any person who knowingly commits any act of or in furtherance to death. So I'll move quickly to another offense again, which is the offense of rape. Is in committing rape. However, it can also occur where somebody used threats of violence or emotional force or manipulation to engage the individual. Illegal. I'm very happy that in Lagos State there are very severe crimes for rape because of the rising cases. So they promulgated a lot of acts and bills so that even the offender will not live freely again. They have a sexual offenders file, a very big logbook, wherein they will put the picture of the person that has committed rape before, so that forever it will be on record. It will be on record that he has committed this crime. He cannot be allowed, to move about freely. And I'm hoping that other states get compensated by the government, Lagos State Anti-Rape Act. Section 358 of the Criminal Code Act provides that any person who rape is liable to imprisonment for life. Section 359 says liable to 14 years. There are many provisions of the act. Again, there is nothing like because there is nothing like consensual sex with a minor, with somebody that is below the age of 18. So for that one, it will be grouped under pedophilia. Under the Islamic Criminal Code, there are 3 categories for rape. There is the had of zina. The had of zina is the punishment for zina, normally where they will say 100 strokes of the cane or stoning to death in case of a married person. Then there is also hiraba as penalty for rape. The Maliki School of Thought and Atabari have classified the crime of rape not as a subcategory of zina, but it's a separate crime under hiraba. That's forcible and violent taking of somebody. And it is described in the Quran 5 verse 33 as a fasad. That's a very destructive mischief. You know that in Islam, there's something called Makasud Sharia, the pillars of the Sharia. The Sharia wants to preserve 5 things. It wants to preserve your life. And that is why it is haram to kill or to kill yourself. To kill another person or to kill because Islam wants to always preserve life. It is haram to do anything that will cause somebody to lose their lives. Apart from life, the Quran, the Sharia wants to protect your intellect. Life, property, intellect, your religion, your chastity. So any crime that makes you to lose any of these things is punished severely under the Sharia. For the intellect, for instance, anything that will make your mind not be normal, Islam doesn't want it. And that's why taking alcohol or getting drunk is a crime. Taking hard drugs is a crime. People will try to excuse a lot of things. They will say that, no, smoking was not, and shisha, and all these other things. But the fact is that it takes away your intellect at a particular time, and that makes it haram. So we should not allow anybody to persuade us, because I hear a lot of young people saying that, well, my father smokes, and I believe it's okay, because, no, anything that causes harm to you, to any of these 5 things, these 5 maqasid in Sharia, anything that causes harm to them is a crime. The reason why rape will be a crime is because it goes against somebody's chastity, and part of the Sharia wants to maintain people's chastity. That is why zina, adultery and fornication will also be a crime. So this is the thinking behind the Islamic law. And we know that the Islamic law comes directly from the Quran, from Allah. Murder, which is the biggest of all. Section 319 of the Criminal Code says that subject to the provisions of this section, any person who commits the offense of murder sentenced to death, where an offender, in the opinion of the court, has not attained the age of 17 at the time he committed the offense, guilty of murder, he shall not be sentenced to death, but shall be detained. Upon such order being made, the provisions of Part 44. This one provides for juvenile centers. Instead of taking a small child who has killed somebody to a prison where he will become a hardened criminal, they will rather put him in a juvenile center where he will be reformed and will be taught some skills so that he can change from that kind of thinking. Under murder, there's also what is called manslaughter. Murder is a higher form. Manslaughter is where you accidentally kill. Any person who commits the offense of manslaughter is liable to imprisonment for life. There's also culpable homicide, where you are culpable of causing the death of somebody in any way, accidentally or otherwise. If the doer of the act knew or had reason to know that death will be the result of the act or bodily injury, let's say you are beating somebody and you know that the way you are beating this person is going to end in death, that's culpable homicide punishable with death. But if you just slapped somebody and you did not realize the person would die, that will be manslaughter and it will just be life imprisonment, not death. So these are the categories of offenses. I only mentioned 7 because I don't want to go too far and because there's no time. But then I would just give instances of where people have overlooked certain things. I mentioned the case of Farouk Mutallab, who was alleged to be a terrorist. I mentioned Maryam Sanda, who murdered her husband. Then I mentioned the young man who was said to have kidnapped his nephew and has now been imprisoned to life imprisonment. Of course, even if you want to forgive him for kidnapping her son and demanding 10 million from her husband, the state is not going to allow her to forgive him. So yes, her younger brother is going to go to prison for life because he tried to steal her son. So these are the kind of things that destroy society. Do you think that family will be normal again? They will never be normal again. You hear of brothers who have taken carnal knowledge, try to have sexual intercourse with their own sisters, fathers, with their daughters, grandfathers. These are things that destroy the society. So even if Islam does not make them haram, the fact that it destroys the foundation of family is enough for us as human beings to stay away from those kind of things. Recently, I heard of a young girl too. This one is related to drugs now, who her parents had been looking for 2 years, and suddenly she calls out of the blues and says that they should send money to her into an account. Thank God for the BVN system. They were somehow able to trace this boyfriend and then get to where she is, and they see her in a very terrible state. You know, for those 2 years, although somehow it's the parents' fault because she was said to have finished this double promotion, schools that have basic 4, there is no basic 5, basic 6, so you are jumping this child to secondary school. At 14, she's writing JAB. At 15, she's in university. Some at that very young age also get sent abroad, and I'm just thinking that it is not fair on the teenager. Because Allah says that they are a manna for you. You're supposed to take care of them till they become able to stand on their own. And so this girl gets to the university abroad, and then she's just 15. Somehow people drag her into vices that she cannot control. She's taking about life or the economy or paying bills. No. As long as Allah has given you intellect, a brain, you have to always be conscious of everything you do. I think it is important to set goals, even as a young person, because what will distinguish you from your peers is the fact that you had a vision, you had a goal, you had focus. While people were just living their lives, doing what they like, having fun, you were determined to succeed. So it doesn't matter whether you came from a rich home or a poor home. What will set you apart is your determination and your grit. Your, stoicness, consistency in following a particular path that you have. You chose that path yourself. This is what I want to do. You are reading medicine. At the same time, you want to be an entrepreneur. You are reading law. You are studying computer engineering. At the same time, you want to do this. It's all possible, especially in today's world. You are lucky. You are in a generation of opportunities. You can achieve anything that you want to achieve, except if you don't want to. There is technology at your fingertips. You can do whatever you want to do. So we have to always be conscious of yourself. Recently, again, I heard of somebody who was arrested, an undergraduate of University of Abuja with her boyfriend. They are non-Muslims now, and they are said to make drugs into cookies and sell them to children. And majority of their victims are Muslim children, and it just breaks my heart. Though I'm happy that they've been arrested and they will definitely suffer for it. But these are the things that are happening around you that you have to open your eyes. It is not enough to go through life just living your life simply. No, you have to be determined and you have to be focused. Again, I had cause to counsel a woman that was very devastated because she was taking her son to psychiatric hospital. Now, this boy is just in SS1, but in his school, everybody belongs to a cult, They call themselves the Malians, and they do all kinds of things. And he refused to join them, but somehow they put a concoction of drugs inside the drink for him. And this thing is dangerous to the brain. It almost made him run mad. And the mother was just so devastated because she's a widow and she has 5 children to take care of all on her own. So this boy was seriously affected, and I wept because I just can't imagine how wicked people can be. He didn't want to join. These are the things that happen around you. It may not be you, it may be your younger brother, it may be your elder brother, it may be. You just have to open your eyes to what is happening in our society. It is very important. And then I want to talk about the concept of fun as young people. Young people, while adults are busy thinking about the next house rent, building a house, school fees, young people are mostly preoccupied with how can I relax and have fun and entertainment. Now, in having fun and entertainment, we need to be cautious. We need to be cautious. Islam is not a boring religion. Islam is not too strict. The things that are halal are more than the things that are haram, because when you are preaching to people, they will always be like, is it everything in Islam that is haram? No. The things that are haram, you can count them. But the things that are halal, they are uncountable. As you are taking your snack now, it is very halal for you. Sitting down here is halal for you. Everything you are doing is halal for you. You walking out of this room is halal for you. But the things that harm are not that many. It's just because we are going far from Allah that we feel as if He's restricting us too much. So in this concept of fun and entertainment, I'd like to appeal to you. This is an appeal. I've rounded up the issue of the criminalities and what constitutes offense under the Nigerian Constitution and the criminal codes. I'm going forward now to appeal, because that's what we can do. We can only do nasiha, and we need to constantly remind ourselves that in having fun and enterprise that harms you,